cool. ready to get inspired. This is the Go4TheGoldy podcast.
It's Wednesday, April 14th, and hello from the Lone Star State in Frisco, Texas. Today I'm joined by my friend from Buffalo, New York, who's one of the most upbeat, passionate, and dedicated people to fitness I may have ever come across in my entire life. Joelle, under my Joella Mathews. Joelle, how are you doing? Good to see you again.
Hi, Goldie. I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I am just living it up down here in Dallas. You know, I miss Buffalo. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
So, let the people know about you right off the bat. Who are you? What do you do? Just give a quick intro.
So my name's Joelle, obviously. I'm 30 years old. I'm from Buffalo. I am a personal trainer. I've been a personal trainer here for like 10 years this summer, 11 years this summer. And I met you through working in Run to Specialty.
That is a great overview. I always find it interesting when I ask people to do that, you know, what bits of information they give or you know, how long they go. Some people go like 5 minutes and just start going down, you know, rabbit holes. And then some people are just like, my name's Brian. And then they stop. So it's always interesting to see where that goes.
Yeah.
Jenny, right off the bat, just letting her rip. She goes, hi, JoJo. So Jenny's here watching and listening. So, Joelle, I you know, prefaced it when I introduced you, but you really are one of the... See, what I find so interesting about your fitness journey, because everyone has their own different way about going about it, right? Some people do the same thing every day, like clockwork, their entire life. You couldn't be farther from the opposite. Every time I talk to you, you're smiling, you're excited about a new endeavor that you're going through, and it's just your zest for trying new stuff is what I really find fascinating. So, you know, I guess, you know, we'll start chronologically, I guess. You know, what originally got you into fitness? Have you been this way your whole life, or was there an event that got you this way, or kind of, we'll start there.
Yeah. So, no, never into sports at all. Like growing up, high school, like I never did any sort of team sport. I mean, I cheered, but like that's whatever. Always into like movement in some way through gymnastics with friends or like when I was little, but nothing competitive or athletic, I would say.
Okay.
I knew in high school, I knew I wanted to go to college for like dietetics, health and wellness, something in that field. I ended up not going to college, but I know I wanted to find a job to get me in that right direction. So I started working at a gym, the BAC for women, the Buffalo Athletic Club, as a front desk girl. And I did that for like a year, and I started to work out very regularly and fell in love with it, and then decided to study to become a personal trainer a year later, and then I have been doing it ever since.
And you're talking like, that's what, when you're like 19, 18, something like that, like right out of high school?
19 is when I started working at the gym, and then 20 when I became a personal trainer, and then teaching and all.
That's interesting too, because I think I think a lot of people, I'm not going to say most people, but I think a lot of people, when they get out of high school and get that freedom of not being in high school anymore, will go the reverse way, right? They'll start to party, they'll start to drink a lot, they'll start to let their diet go or whatever. They're not playing sports, and it's funny that you went through the exact opposite with that.
Right. And you know me, like, personally, you know that literally was my story. Like, you know, as soon as I kind of turned 21, the same time where I got really into, like, being a healthy person, because I was, like, high school and, like, right after high school, like, a normal, like, sleeping in late, going out and drinking at bars, like, not being the healthiest person until then I did turn, like, 20, 21, that age where people do kind of reverse that, and I just like did the opposite.
No, I love that. I think there's a real value in self-realization. You must feel like garbage, you know? I think people don't get what minimal effort you really need to put in to feel really, you know, to make quantum leaps in your health and just your mental well-being.
I know. And I think you and I specifically, we've worked in the field where we have worked with people who've come from like not no movement to introducing movement into their lives, or going from one lifestyle to another. And so it's something I see every day. So it's not like that crazy to me to hear, but it is like, it's wild that some people do not have these things in their life. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I watch you know me, and if you're watching this, you know me too. I'm an absolute lunatic. I just don't stop. There's even if it's not even like working out or physical fitness, I just don't stop moving ever. You know, I'm just always on the go. And me and Jenny, we at the end of the day, you know, we like to wind down, watch a stupid, silly show sometimes, just to kind of slide into, you know, sleep or whatever. And we got into 1,000-Pound Sisters. Have you ever seen that one? So the combined weight of the two women are 1,000 pounds.
That's gross.
It's ridiculous. And they're drinking like, you know, five liters of pop a day, and like just biscuits and gravy for breakfast. It's ridiculous. And it's just like to think that people exist like that out there. I mean, obviously it's a TV show, so they're going to embellish it quite a bit, but you know.
That's it.
Yeah, but I mean, still, I hoped, and that's the point of this, and that's why I wanted to have you specifically, because we were talking, you know, the minute before the show. I have a ton of people that I put the signal out, and I just said, hey, you know, I'm looking for guests in the show, and I've had a lot of people come on, but you're someone, and that's what I want to get into. I guess now we can talk about it, but you're someone who, your excitement over, you know, the unknown, maybe not the unknown, but like the new, you know, it's like, I guess it's the experience I have when I go to a new gym. It's like you'll never get it's like the workout you get when you go to a new gym is just so great because you're so excited to be in this new environment. It's like refreshing, and I feel like you get that when you try different stuff. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, it always looks like you're on to the next endeavor, on to the next, you know, challenge, or on to the next fitness endeavor, and I love watching you go through that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I literally just texted you last week asking what your like workout program is right now, because I want to do something different. Yeah. So yeah, I do like that kind of stuff, but I just think exercise is really exciting anyway. So like, why not try to do as many different things as you can and find what you like to do?
I love it. And you know, it's kind of selfishly, you sent me 3 pictures for your cover photo, and I chose this one, and I'll tell you why I chose this one. Because we're running photos. You know, you were running on the track, and then the other one was you kind of like picture you running like. But like, I'm a guy, right? I'm a former football player. I love lifting weights. That's something I'm just kind of never going to give up, nor I don't think you should. I think there's a lot of women out there, though, that have a negative relationship with weights. And I wanted to like use this picture kind of like as encouragement, because I mean, look at you. You're obviously incredibly fit. You do this as a career, and you know, do you encounter that a lot when, you know, like typically women are not scared, but hesitant to really go all in on weights because of the misconception that they'll get bulky or, you know, whatever?
Yes. Yeah, 100% every day. Like, again, training in a women's gym for so long that I've seen, that's all I hear. And a big reason of why they are coming to like specifically work out with me or in my world is because lifting weights not only is intimidating for a woman to do, but especially around men, because they take into like 2 different versions, I guess. But yeah, most women are scared of like lifting weights or adding a different program like that into their week, because they are scared of that stereotypical, like, I don't want to get big, or I don't want to like gain muscle. Like I have this new woman, there has been a client of mine in the past, I guess, who I was training with, and she was always like looking at this girl, like, who was very incredibly fit, like very dedicated. I saw her every day, and she's like, oh, well, I don't want to lift weights and like look like that girl. Like, she looks like very bulky. And I was like, what? Like, first of all, no, she doesn't. Second of all, you're like, everyone is different. Like, you're not going to look, trust me, adding 5 more pounds to this chest press is not going to make you look like that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's hard women are really, really, really scared to, I think, challenge themselves and like progress in the weight like area because they're so scared of like that image, and it's bizarre to me.
I always used to I like using logic when I talk to people about fitness, and I was a certified trainer. Obviously, that's lapsed in these currently, but I'm someone who avidly works out and does a ton of research about everything and tries to stay up to date with everything. And so when I was a trainer, I always used to kind of approach it logically, and I would say, listen, because I would run into the same thing all the time. Women would primarily be really focused on cardio, and men would typically be primarily focused on like bench pressing all the time for some reason. So I used to say if you're so concerned about gaining muscle or being too muscular, if it were that easy, don't you think you'd see a lot more muscular men walking around? Because isn't that the goal for most men?
Yeah, absolutely.
I used to say that, and there was another backdoor thing I used to say too is, because I'm sure you get this all the time too, is I don't have time. I don't have the time to dedicate to the gym. Would you say? I'm sorry.
Don't get me started on that. It's really interesting actually that you say that, because I'm an early morning exerciser. I have trained for my whole career as like the first person in the morning in the gym at 5 a.m., 4:45 in the morning. Like, you have the time, you're just not making the time. That you can exercise literally anytime, any place. It doesn't have to be in a gym. It could be in your living room. Like, you have 24 hours a day, 12 hours though. Like, you've done the math. If you're sleeping for 8 hours, if you're working for 8 hours, you have 8 hours of free time. Like, whatever. Like, you have time. You just need to prioritize it.
No, I agree with that, and that was another little tactic I would use when I would talk to people, is like a first get to know you kind of session. I'd always when they said that, I wouldn't just immediately berate them or I would just say.
Show us.
What'd you say? I'm sorry.
Didn't you ask them what their favorite TV show was or something?
See, you remember. Yeah, I keep that nugget in the back of my mind now, and then later on I'd be like, so what's your favorite show? And they'd be like, Game of Thrones or whatever. I'd be like, so you do have time. You just prioritize television or recreation over your fitness, and that's
I deal a lot with that, and it's really frustrating because I'm not, again, you can't be like, well, listen, make this your priority, without making that sound bad, but you gotta go through someone's day and be like, okay, well, maybe you get up 15 minutes earlier and go to bed a little bit earlier, and then you have 30 extra minutes now.
Right. And I think too, I never want to be intimidating, because I live and breathe this stuff, I'm training literally 3 hours a day. This is your career. This isn't something that me and you take casually, but I think the reason we do what we do is to be a beacon, to say, look at the possibility, that exists within you, because me and you, we're just ordinary people, we weren't born superheroes or anything like that, and there's a bazillion people out there that are much better at everything that I do, but I just want to be this and that's the point of this show, and that's why I want to have you on, is because I want to just surround myself with inspiring, dedicated, motivated people, and I want people to watch this and connect with all different types of guests. I don't just talk to just dudes who weightlift. That's not what the point of this is. I want to talk to inspiring people from the whole entire spectrum of the broad genre of fitness. So I guess let me ask you this: what's your favorite type of fitness that you do?
Oh God, I want to say yoga, just because that's what I've said forever. So I guess yoga, power yoga, hot yoga. It's my favorite form of movement. It's the yoga and weightlifting are the only two forms of exercise that I never, ever, ever have to talk myself into doing. Every run, I have to talk myself into it. Every, class I teach, I have to really just sit and think about it. I will never have to I never get anxious before doing those types of things. I never feel like I have to dread it or it's a chore. I'm going to say yoga is my favorite, and then weightlifting for sure as well.
That's really interesting you phrase it like that, because I just recently, within the past couple months, because I'm on the bike so much, you can see it behind me. I cycle in my room like nonstop, and audiobooks. I started getting into audiobooks and just listening to a lot of like mental health, self-improvement, like all these kinds of books. And The Confidence Gap is one that I just started listening to. I'm about like 3 or 4 hours into it, and that's one of the things that separates successful people from. He kind of calls it like no man's land, where you're not getting better, but you're not getting worse. You're just kind of like staying the same, but like de facto, you're kind of getting worse if you're not getting better. You know what I mean? It's like you're either going up or down.
Right.
But our brains are wired for negative thoughts. And he says, the way that our brain, or the way that you're taught, is your thoughts and emotions drive your actions. But it's kind of a fallacy, because you can think something but then do different, if that makes sense. So when you said, like, when you're anxious about like running, well, you still do it. You still you overcome that negative emotion in your head to like, it's too cold, I'm too tired, it's too early, I'm not gonna get a, you know what I mean? Like, and that's where successful people separate themselves from the average, because everyone has those voices. I mean, every time I line up for a race and I see open water and 100 people next to me, I know I'm gonna be fighting. Like, I'm not like, yeah, I got this. This is gonna be easy. Like, I'm friggin' terrified. It's everyone has that thought. So how do you deal with those thoughts when you wake up and like you said, you're an early riser and you go to the gym super early. Do you feel like waking up every day at the same time and going to the gym?
No. And I think you have to be very in tune and like maybe accepting of certain thoughts. If I feel, okay, let me rephrase that. I think I've struggled a lot over the last 5 or 10 years with negative self-talk regarding my body, regarding exercise, regarding food, like a lot of different things. So maybe being really good at acknowledging a thought and maybe challenging it or doing it anyway. Like you just said, like maybe you don't want to do it, but then, you don't want to run and you're saying that all day, but you still go out and run. Like just knowing the difference between like challenging a thought and like listening to your body maybe. Because if you don't want to do something because you are injured or tired or you're not going to gain anything from it. There's a huge difference between acknowledging that and honoring your body versus like, just like, I'm bored, I don't want to do this.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense. So what is, do you have any like tips or techniques or anything that you do to power through that? When that alarm goes off every morning, what's the first thought that goes through your mind? Or like, what's something that gets you out of bed?
The sooner you do it, the sooner it's over with.
No, I love that. It's no, that makes sense. It's like you wake up and the first step is putting your feet on the ground. Once you get, that's the hardest part. Right? And then it's just downhill from there.
No, but truly do, like when it's regarding exercise, like you do, it's so cliche, but you feel so much better when it's done. You'll more than likely never regret a workout, and just you're always going to kind of be a better person if you do it.
I agree. I mean, I don't know about you, but for me too, at Cowboys Fit, I work out at the gym in Frisco here, and it's just it's like two different gyms if you go in the morning and if you go at night.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're right. Like the people regarding, in what way is it different?
So when I go at 6 a.m, usually it's all people that like have their headphones on. They're on a mission. It's like there's not a lot of chit chat. It's a lot of just discipline. Maybe not even like an older crowd, but just a more focused, more in tune with just getting at it. And when I go at night, if I don't make it in the morning for whatever reason, or I have like a bike in the morning or something like that, and I go later on, it's like teenagers or maybe 20-somethings hanging out, like just chit-chatting, or, it's some people getting off, their 9 to 5, and then a lot of people go to the gym just to go to the gym to walk around or say they went to the gym. It's a lot more of that. And that crowd, that morning crowd, I will take 10 times out of 10. There's something about that energy when you're there early morning. It's like, you feel like me and Danny, not Danny, you don't know Danny. I had him on the show a couple of weeks ago. He's the professional baseball player, former pro baseball player. We talk about this all the time. Like, when you log in for work, or wherever if you go to work or log in, whatever you're going to be doing that day, when you're sitting there, let's say it's 9 o'clock in the morning and you log on for a Zoom call and you see other people like rubbing their eyes, or you can tell their hair's messed up, they just rolled out of bed, like, you already have had a day already if you woke up at 4:30 to get to the gym at 5. You've been up for 4.5 hours at that point. And to me, you just hit the ground running. Like, it's momentum. You just keep it going throughout your day. I think and then that snowballs every day, Monday through Friday, if you have one of those kind of jobs, that compounds over the course of weeks and months and years. And all of a sudden you look down the road when you're 40, let's say, if you've been doing that since you were 25 for 15 years, compared to someone who's just walking around the gym at 5:30 p.m. after work and just going for the sake of going, no plan or whatever. I mean, that's going to manifest.
Not to say that, like, a 6 p.m. exerciser who's there for an hour and then they go home isn't, like, also dedicated, also driven, have X, Y, and Z goals. But, like, I fully agree with you. Like, people who, at least from what I've noticed, like, the people who do all of the things that they need to do before they start their day, like, whatever that means, like, it's because they have kids and that's the only time they can do it. Like, it's because they have a very early work day and that's the only time they can do it. It's because they have, like, it's people making it a priority because they know that they have to, like, show up for the rest of the day. Mm-hmm. And I think that crew is just it's totally just a different mindset. I see the same people the same day doing the same things because that's part of their routine and that's part of their day. And I love that.
So what is a typical, like, what's a routine for you look like? How do you combine, like, obviously you do yoga. By the way, Jenny is doing some kind of ab challenge or something for 30 days. So she just behind me just pulled up her yoga mat and just, like, smiled at me. She's going to do it right now.
Like, what do I do for exercise in my week?
Yeah. What's a typical week look like for you? Is there a typical week? I'm sure people want to know how you are so fit and, you're professional, so they want to know what you do.
So up until very recently, I was, so I run like 5 days a week, I'll say. Currently I'm training for a half marathon, but even if I wasn't, I still run like 5 days a week. I was lifting 5 days a week very regularly, which I love to do. I teach, like a yoga and Pilates class. So that's once a week. And then I do yoga whenever I feel like it. And then I'll throw in spin 1 to 2 times a week if I feel like it. I love to power walk. I usually do that a couple mornings before I lift. So, like, I do like a lot of different things. But all of those things I've done for 10 years. I'm not like the kind of person that's like, okay, I'm going to do boxing this month, or I'm going to try out like this new, like, I know what I like and I just kind of rotate through them.
I love that.
Some months spinning, some months I'm really into lifting, some months I'm really into Pilates. Like, change is also very good, but I know what my body likes and how it, like, responds to certain things. Like, so.
Yeah, that's a big part of it too, I think. I think my problem personally is I get obsessed with things, so I'm not going to, like, I want to compete. That's my thing at the core of, like, why I work out. I want to be able to compete in things. Like, I love racing. And
yeah,
I suck. Like, I'm not that good, but I still like competing. You know what I mean? Like, I got to get that out of me.
Well, you don't suck, first of all. You've won things before, and you're a very great athlete. But I am also competitive, like, in certain things, like, with certain sports, but I'm never going to win anything. Like, I'm very lucky if I get age group awards. I know I'm never going to be the best at any of the sports that I do, but I just like to do them.
Well, I love that you mix it up. I really do, because so I have this weird thing. Okay, so this is the first time I'm actually talking about this publicly. This is an inside joke with one of my best friends. They actually just moved to Frisco down the road from me here. But so I would do these things. I call it 3 a.m. thoughts. Okay, so I'm a lunatic, and I never stop thinking. I never stop moving or walking around doing stuff. So every night at 3 a.m., I wake up and I just walk around and think about stuff. And that's when I get some of my best thinking done. And I know this is completely, you're not supposed to look at screens or whatever in the middle of the night or whatever. If I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and this isn't every night that I look at a screen or whatever, but if I start thinking about something that I want to get into, I'll just start looking at it and go all in it. So the girl who's going to be on the show in a couple of weeks, Steph, I was telling you about, the Ninja Warrior, she just qualified for the World Championships, and I saw that she qualified, so I was like, oh, that's really cool. I wonder what it went on at 3 a.m., start looking at it, and then I found out there's an official gym across the street from me, literally across the street from me, and then I'm like, and then I texted Danny, my buddy, I'm like, dude, would you be into this with me? And I have to be like, whoa, 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 whoa. I got to stop it.
I know that about you, and yeah.
Have you ever done that stuff before?
Yeah, when I watched your 4 for 48, I was like, okay, do I want to do this next year with Goldie?
Yes, yes, let's go get down here, let's go.
I will. I definitely want to do Running of the Buffalo just because I know that. You were part of the original thought process behind that. Yeah. I sat next to you while that was created. So I'm fully down to run to the Bills Stadium. But yeah, I'm actually very much like that. If I'm seeing you do a challenge, I want to do it too. Just because I like working out with friends. Also, I'm all about group encouragement, and if someone's all in on something and I like it, absolutely, I want to do it too.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I've done a lot of thinking about this recently too, with the political environment that we live in nowadays, and I think it's innate in us, in our core, to be tribal, regardless of what that tribe may be, or however you may define a tribe. I think every one of us wants to be a part of a group. I really do. And I think too many people feel that, and it's like a false sense of community when you go on Twitter and you just, pile dive on, trying to get someone canceled. Or, you pick the Democrat or Republican team, or whatever that may be, right? Well, with running, it's just none of that exists. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter who the hell you are, where you came from. When you're out there on a Saturday morning and it's 40 degrees and you're cranking out 18 miles, that's a true community. Yes.
And you yourself know that firsthand, being being a running coach at one point. Running's the only thing, or it could be the only thing you have in common, but you could be running with a judge, you could be running with a police officer, you could be running with someone that does not believe in the same religion as you, or a different political background, or in other terms, you guys would not be friends whatsoever, but you still run together every Saturday morning and have a great friendship. I love that so much.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And that's where I really start to think I there's a lot of mantras and stuff I catch on to with the books that I read, and just YouTube inspirational stuff I watch. But the one that I really think is important is you're a summation of your 5 closest acquaintances or friendships, whatever you want to call it. And if you're surrounded by people that are just angry about the political environment, or just yelling at the news all the time, that's not doing anything for your psyche. That's not helping you whatsoever. But someone like you, Joelle, you're I saw you do the 4x4x48 challenge. I'm in next year. Like, that kind of mentality, that you want to surround yourself with people like that. At least that's my opinion.
No, of course. Someone that makes you want to do something better for yourself, like, duh.
Yeah, there was a concept in the the compound effect. It goes, you're either an anchor or an engine. Surround yourself with engines. Get rid of the anchors. Because anchors still may love you, but if their life is not on a trajectory where they're getting better, they're going to be uncomfortable with your success, and they're going to inadvertently become an anchor, whether they are meaning to or not. And I thought that was pretty profound. It's pretty interesting because we're always changing. We're dynamic. People are learning new skills and all that, and striving to be better. And I'm sure there's people that that 10 years ago you might have been a lot closer with. Now you're not, but it's through no fault of either of your own, but you just kind of drift apart, and then I know for myself, I look back at some of the nonsense that I was getting into in my 20s, and I look back and I'm like, good God, I'm happy I'm not doing that stuff anymore,
Yeah.
So I just think, constant growth is really important. So you mentioned earlier half marathon. Which one are you training for?
Grand Island half.
Oh, okay, cool. That was one of my first events with that running company. Yeah.
Yep, I remember.
Yeah. So when is that?
May 1st.
Oh, it's coming up. How you feeling? You
Yeah.
ready?
I just ran it in October, so not too long ago, and it's already come because of COVID, it was rescheduled. So I'm trying to race the same race quite soon.
So what training plan are you following, or are you following one, or?
I have a coach.
Oh, you have a coach. You want to give a shout out to the coach here?
David Vega, my coach. Yeah, he lives in Texas as well. I've tried to connect you guys, but you live a couple hours away.
Where does he live?
Forgot.
Nice. There you go. Shout out to Dave. Yeah. How did you come across him?
He moved to Buffalo, and he's a runner, obviously, and he reached out to the store and asked for a running community, and I kind of invited him to come run, and we've kind of connected ever since. And then he moved away, but he's coaching me.
That's awesome. So what I'll do, I didn't tell you this, but after every show, I'll put your social media handles in there so people can watch this and kind of follow your, journey's kind of cliche. Just kind of follow your progress and your life, really. But any other additional things that we talk about here, Dave, you said, right? David Vega, yep. David. Yeah, so we can put, his link in here too. So if anyone listening is looking for a running coach, we can, help spread the word about him.
Absolutely, yeah.
So any other events that you have on the horizon past the
No.
Grand Island? No?
Not really. I just run for fun all summer, continue to move. Seasons change. I'll go hiking a lot now this summer. I'll ride my bike more.
Well, that's the wrong answer because running of the Bills is in September, so you failed.
So I'll train for the 17-mile run that we'll do in September.
Hell yeah, let's go.
I'm that.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it too. It's hopefully everything gets figured out up there in Buffalo. I was just at a Rangers game a couple days ago, and everything's at full capacity here, so it's pretty interesting to see how everything has gone in just crazy different directions all over the country. It's pretty wild.
Did you have to wear a mask?
Yeah, but not really. Everything here is optional. You know what I mean? So yeah. It's it's Texas. You can't tell these people what to do. So they're
on Saturday, and it's severely restricted capacity, mask all the time.
Really?
So
where was that? I'm sorry.
I'm going to the Sabres game on Saturday.
You're paying money to go see them. That's something.
Yeah. I'm going someone who is a Pittsburgh Penguin fan, so
Oh,
I know.
well, one of my close friends is a Pittsburgh Penguin fan down here too.
Eh.
She's from Pittsburgh, so yeah. Shout out to
Perfect.
Ellie.
Shout out to Pittsburgh.
So, so what are you doing now? Are you still at the BAC, or what's okay? And what's your typical day-to-day like?
I'm just training Monday through Friday and teaching a class a couple hours a day in the mornings.
Gotcha. And did you ever coach spin or like teach spin classes?
I used to teach like spinning, yoga, Pilates, like a sculpt type class. Like I've kind of taught a little bit of everything, but I am currently now just teaching like yoga and Pilates.
Gotcha. Okay. So I guess something that we haven't touched on yet that I think would be a good idea to kind of dive into, again, because you're a fitness professional, you have a lot of knowledge, diet and nutrition. Let's talk about that, because you said personally that's something that you struggled with in the past too. I mean, currently what are you doing? What have you done? What's worked? What's not? You know, let's kind of dive into that, because I think that's a pretty interesting topic. Everyone's got an opinion on it, right? So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
I mean, you were vegan for a bit, right?
a vegetarian, yeah.
Or vegetarian, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like probably from 20 I don't remember, maybe 20 to 25 maybe I was.
Oh, you did it for 5 years. Wow, I didn't know it was that long.
I think it was, yeah. Yeah, I'd like to say I'm probably in a really good place with food, like food freedom. I wasn't always in that place. So I don't follow anything, like I don't diet or track anything or keep up with trends or anything like that. I eat what I want.
See, I think that's where a lot of people get into trouble, and I think women struggle with this, primarily, with body image. I mean, obviously it affects both, or all genders, but with females especially, I think it's prevalent, and I think we're taught nowadays to like these fads, quick fix. They're just so alluring. No one wants to hear just watch what you put in your body, be careful and not purposeful, but like intentional with everything you put in your body, and eventually you'll start, you'll maintain it. No one wants to hear that. Everyone wants to hear 30 days, do a 20-pound weight, 20-pound weight loss, whatever. And I think that's tough. So do you live I know you don't follow everything that goes into your body, and neither do I, but do you follow any general rules of thumb? You know what I mean? Do you avoid any types of food, or make sure that you focus on specific food groups or anything like that?
No, I have a bit of a history of disordered eating and exercise and just some issues that I've had that took a long time to kind of get over. So since then, I would say I would recovered and in a healthier mindset of that in a physical place. You can't put limitations on anything. You can't restrict foods, or it can't be so black and white of I have learned that food cannot be, black and white. You can't have this perfectionism approach to eating, and you got to be okay with letting go of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense.
But,
it's the risk versus reward, right? It's if you're working out like a maniac all the time, what's the point if you can't enjoy the foods that you want to enjoy too, right?
Right, and it's also you have to know you don't have to exercise like a maniac in order to get pizza.
Reward yourself. Yeah.
Right. When that, I came from not that place, and now being a little bit better, it's really nice.
Yeah, and I think there's a balance too. It's if you want to pop, have a pop. Don't have a liter a day. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just moderation. Right. Enjoy.
But a lot of people don't trust themselves, and they will binge eat, or if they're restricting themselves from cake, for example. Like, if I'm not gonna have cake for a month, like I just absolutely am not. And then they see a cake, they eat the whole thing like immediately because they've been deprived. So yes, finding balance, that like having one piece of cake and trusting yourself that you're not gonna have the whole thing, like just being intuitive. That's all. Intuitive eating. That's okay. I follow intuitive eating. That's going to be the best way to explain it. I eat what I want. Yeah, I eat intuitively. I feel like, let my body tell me what I need, when I need it, and go from there.
Well, that's the point of listening to yourself, right? I mean, that's the point. I mean, and it goes to like not eating when you're hungry too, right? Or not eating when you're full, or what am I trying to say? Just
don't eating when you're hungry.
Yeah, don't eat when you're bored. Like, are you eating because you're bored, or are you eating because you're hungry? You know, there's a lot of intuitive eating. That's it. I love that. I think the slingshot. I always say like the slingshot. Every diet's like a slingshot. If you deprive yourself of something that you really want, you're just gonna come back even harder. I mean, these are unsustainable type things that you do to yourself, and you can do damage to yourself too by that kind of stuff.
I think a big part of what I do is to get women maybe to trust themselves in that way, and like letting them just helping them learn to trust themselves when it comes to food.
Do you find that you come across that a lot with your clients or people that you work with?
Yeah, 100%. It's usually the main issue in their mind that they think that of why they're not losing weight or having seeing progress. It's their diet, and then it's just a snowball of like body shaming, talking crap about themselves. It's just not healthy.
No, that's right. It's got to be tough to see, but obviously you're a super positive person, so I'm sure you've changed a lot of people's lives.
I hope so.
Well, Jenny asked, do you have any specific people that give you motivation or inspiration for different workouts? Like, do you have anyone on Instagram or Facebook that you follow that really gives you, inspiration?
I don't have any specific like social media superstar or anything like that. I just like to watch YouTube videos of like yoga.
No, that's awesome advice, and
bodies. Like, it helps me actually as a trainer and as a teacher to like watch what other people are doing. I don't know anyone specifically, but just researching and educating on like what people do in their styles of teaching to like bring to my own practices and my training.
Oh, I love that, and that's like we were talking about earlier. That's that growth mindset. It's you'll never know everything. There isn't a peak or an apex of knowledge in especially fitness. So that's in my opinion, that's the sign of a good trainer when you're just constantly learning. Because it's like I've run into people that are like, no, I took the ACE test, so I'm good. Just because you finished a book doesn't mean that like you know everything there is, right?
I took my exam like 10 years ago. I don't remember any of those answers now. Like,
right. And think about all the shit that's changed in the past 10 years,
Oh my. And the more that I've learned through other people, like I'm a confident like personal trainer, and I'm confident in my job from what I've learned from other people versus any textbook. I can't learn any of that stuff. You can't learn real world stuff in a textbook.
No, and you're right about that. And I think that goes with like things across the board too. Like coding, for instance. Like if you're learning to code, well, if you're learning to code from a master, or if you're learning to code from an online program, I mean, the guy who studies with the master is always going to have the upper hand, at least in my opinion. And just learn by doing. Was I talking to you about that? Oh no, I was talking to a guy today who he owns his own restaurant and he employs his 2 kids over in North Tonawanda. And he was saying his 2 kids have no experience in the food service industry, but he wants to leave it to his kids when he's done with it. And obviously he's not too old. His kids are in his 20s, but he said COVID was actually a good thing for him because it's allowed him to teach and kind of gradually increase business to their capacities. And they're learning on the fly. But exactly, like would you rather trust someone who read a textbook about running a business or,
Oh my,
you know,
no.
yeah. And that's where I think a lot of people just, and I think you do have to be careful too, because there are a lot of shysters on YouTube too. You know, there's a lot of people who are going to tell you nonsense.
Right.
Yeah. So yoga is like your big thing.
I mean, I don't really consider, like, I think people perceive certain things, because, like, if you ask another person, they'll be like, oh yeah, she's the runner. Like, people perceive different things, I think, of what I like to do a lot, and I really don't know what I like to do a lot, because I like to do everything.
Well, I think that's what makes you you. I'm the same way, and that's what's funny. That's what's been really interesting about this whole journey that I'm taking on YouTube and like video production. Because when I'll do live streams, because I live stream obviously I live stream my cycling, I live stream me playing Mario, I live stream like triathlons that I do, my vlog. So like I have like so many different avenues, and it's funny because I'll hop on a like a Mario stream, and a guy that follows me specifically for cycling will be like, oh, what are you doing? And I'll tell him what I'm doing, and he's like, oh, and then he hangs out. You know what I mean? So it's more like the personality rather than the actual act itself. And I think that's the way the world's going, is there aren't like, not celebrity, but like, well, I guess celebrities, like if you think about someone like, a crazy, crazy popular actor compared to like YouTube stars, people like the YouTube stars because they're personable. You see them on a personal level. You see them doing different things. They interact with you as opposed to, like Tom Hanks in an ivory tower somewhere that, never really interacts with anybody. So I love that. I think that idea of just being hyper specialized in one thing is just broaden your horizons, right? I mean, I think that shows that growth mindset again, like I was talking about.
Fully.
Awesome. So, I don't know. I think we covered everything. I mean, what other questions do you have, or whatever? What other messages do you want to get out that we didn't cover yet?
I don't know. I'm just really into women learning like self-love and self-care. Having fitness be free and accessible for everyone, I think, is really, really important. And kind of like you said before, like prioritizing and like making excuses or whatever. Like, I want to be able to have everyone realize that if exercise is something they want to do, like they can do it. There's really no excuse not to, because there are so many outlets of how you can do things.
So if you have, let me ask you this. So in terms of like someone who is watching this right now and they say, I'm really, because I'm sure you remember from your training days, you have the pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, activation, right? So say you're talking to, say someone right now is in the preparation stage. They got the shoes, they got the gym clothes, maybe they don't have the gym membership, but like they want to work out. What would be your advice to them? What would you tell them right now?
I'm trying to think if I were to tell my mom that, because I feel like she can relate. I don't know, do something super small. If you want to like just start moving your body, literally just walk out the door and walk for 5 minutes. Like, it doesn't have to be this huge thing. Like, you don't have to set a goal to go to the gym or to go to this class or to stop doing this or whatever, like 5 times a week, because you're going to fail. Like, just pick one small attainable goal.
Yeah, like walk around the block once a day or something like that.
That's it.
Yeah. That's I think that's good advice. I hated seeing people get too zealous, get overzealous with it, and then you burn out in the first week, and then it's like you're doing more harm than good because you've set these unattainable goals. Then you feel like a failure, and then now you're not going to, you're going to be less likely to go back in the future. So I think that's awesome advice.
Just start and start slow and small. That's it.
I think that's the move. I think that's awesome. Well, you're definitely inspiring. So let's go over what you've done. I want to what races have you done, and what like fitness challenges have you done? Like, let's run through the list here because I think it's pretty impressive what you've done.
I have no idea. Like, I can't list. I mean, I've run 3 marathons. I probably ran 50 half marathons. I don't know. I mean, I truly do not. I could not tell you numbers of 5Ks, half marathons, anything like that.
But think about that. Just the fact that you were just like, like, I don't know, 50 half marathons or something.
I mean, I know. It's stupid.
But that's amazing. That's what I'm trying to say is like the level that you're at, people train their whole lives to run a half marathon. And you just casually just like, 50 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
So
I don't, but like, I've never like won anything.
But who cares? You finished. That's the point. And it's not like you're walking either. I mean, you're running half marathons. Like that's not. Yeah. Like what's your time you're shooting for your half marathon in Grand Island?
Sub 2.
I mean, come on. Like yeah, okay. You say you didn't win anything. A sub 2 hour half marathon is friggin' impressive. People shoot for that their whole lives.
Thanks.
Do you think you're going to be able to do it?
If I have the positive mental attitude, I will.
And if you take some pump fuel before.
Yeah.
Get all jacked up.
Can you imagine?
I mean, that's what I do every day.
I know.
I before every race, Jenny knows. Like she helps me out. She like carries a little backpack around, and then we take it a half hour out so we can get. So we're at the starting line, just all itchy on beta alanine. We're like, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's get all jacked up.
I've seen you chug coffee like 5 seconds before you go to the gym. You're wild.
I actually chugged coffee right before this podcast, so
No.
we're back, baby.
Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed. As much as things changed, nothing changed.
Not at all.
All right, Joe.
No,
Joe. Oh, go ahead.
Like, just my purpose truly in life is to like help women love themselves and like move their body in positive, healthy ways. And if I can do that for anyone, like, then I'm stoked about it.
I love that.
If I can help a woman be comfortable with themselves and feel good in their body, like that's all I want to do. That's all I want to do with my life.
I love that. And I think that's an incredible message. And I think there just needs to be more people like you in the world, man. I mean, just positive, just really inspiring, motivated, driven people. I think there's just so much negativity floating around out there today that I want, and it's like going back to what we talked about earlier. I want this whole thing to be lightning rod for that. I want to, attract successful people and talk to them and, attract people who are looking to become motivated and draw inspiration from and just kind of build this community of people that, just want to be better versions of themselves. Like you said, you don't have to win anything, but if, how many people that we talked to, when we were working together, in the running club that like, we're on the verge of tears finishing a half marathon or a 5K. I know. I literally, like, before this, I did a 5K in 20 minutes, like, casually. But, like, you forget that this means so much to someone to shoot for that. And go ahead, sorry, I interrupted you.
And I just love that journey for people. Like, I love hearing about why they're starting to exercise. Like, what are their goals? Where did you start? Where are you going? Like, I love, like, how people are like, oh my God, I don't want to hear about your workouts. Like, that's so, no one wants to hear that you just went for a run this morning. It's like, no, like I do. Like, I love hearing about it. I love everything about it.
Yeah. And that's why I try to, I mean, you follow me and I follow you, obviously. Like, I like posting that kind of stuff. And the people who say that, unfollow me. I don't care. It's not for you anyway.
Right. Right.
Like, if you're just going to sit there and be miserable and angry that I worked out today, I mean, then don't follow me. I don't care. Like, that's not the point of this.
Totally.
Yeah. So,
I love post-workout posts. Keep them up.
All right, cool. Well, we'll see what we can do. The vlog, I think, is that was like the next step in this evolution here. It's a lot of work, but I think people are responding pretty nice to it. I think because people want to know what it's like behind the scenes on a day-to-day basis, and I just wanted. I think it always goes back to like imposter syndrome, kind of too. Don't like that the voice of doubt that's in your head. I talk about this a lot, but when you're at a race, you immediately get flooded with doubts, and you look around and you're like,
I
well, that
know.
person's better than me, that person's better than me,
It's
but you deserve to be
it's so
there.
hard.
It is. It definitely
It's
is.
so real, and it's so hard, and I've struggled with that for so long. But like shifting your perspective honestly changes everything.
Yeah.
Just try and be more positive.
Yeah. I think it's not an overnight thing either. It's kind of like making a U-turn with a barge. It's a slow process. If you're in think of one of those massive ships, making a U-turn, like that's kind of how your mentality is. It's not going to change overnight, but if you stay with it, at some point you're just going to be in a completely different direction with a different perspective. And I think I certainly know that I am that way, and you definitely are too. So
Yeah. You know that saying, fake it till you make it?
yeah,
It's that fake it till you become it is the better one. Like, if you're not a happy person, just like fake it until you are a happy person.
I like that. I like that a lot. That's really cool. I never heard that before, but I mean that's true because you can be anything that you want to be in terms of your disposition. If you want to just be miserable all the time, like that's not doing anybody any favors. The people that you come in
Right.
contact with, you're going to make them angrier or more miserable. Or, if you're negative, like it goes back to that anchor engine kind of thing. If you're going to be an anchor, you're not going to be hanging out with me. Like if you're dragging me down, I really have no interest in hanging out with you. Sorry. I mean, it's nothing personal, but I'm going this way. I'm not going this way. So. All right. Well, JoJo, I think we are just coming up on an hour, so I don't know.
I had no idea what to talk about, so I don't know how we just talked for an hour.
I could talk for the next 5 hours, but Jenny's making dinner, and she's probably gonna kill me if I keep talking. So.
Yeah. Good.
No, I mean, and that's another thing that I've discovered by doing this show too is every person that I've had on. Like I don't plan any questions. I have no notebooks or anything in front of me. I just talk because it's interesting to learn about people, and it flies by. It really does.
Trust me, I am the queen of talking. So I'm here for that fully.
That's why we never got any work done when we worked together because we just talked to each
There you go.
other. All right. Well, if you want to follow Joelle, the links will be in the show notes when we're done. Make sure you follow her. She got her big race on May 1st. She's going to hit that sub 2-hour mark. It's going to be awesome. Running of the Bills in September. We got that coming. All kinds of crazy stuff coming up.
Very excited for that.
All right, JoJo. Well, it was a pleasure to see you again. As always, love you. Thanks for coming on. And